This is the North End. This is the North End.
Welcome to the North End Podcast, Classic Edition. I'm here with Mr. Paul Forrest, Mr. Connie, and JP from California, or just JP California. I'll start with JP California. JP, good to see you, mate. Thanks for coming back on the show. Luke is not with us today. Before I say hello, JP, I just want to quickly add, this is the Classic Edition because this week we're doing the reviews and the previews in one show. We've all had busy weeks, and we're going to just put it all into one like you're used to, and hope you enjoy it. And we're apologize for last week because last week we all got very busy and weren't able to do the preview show. So if you missed that, we apologize. So yeah, JP, good to see you, brother. How are you, mate?
So stop inundating our social media, clamoring for content. I've been woken up to the sound of ding, 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 ding all over Instagram because people are thirsty, boys. They're thirsty for the content. We were attacked. You missed one show. People come at you.
Paul having a bit of a moment. JP, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Paul likes to steal the thunder sometimes. I got to be the honorary Villa fan for you guys, so I know you guys are missing the handsomer, much shorter, better hairdo Luke, but I'll do my best.
I think you'll fill in well. We always appreciate when you're here, so I have no doubt you're gonna do the job. Connie, looking good there with a Brixton hat on. Rarely do you wear labels, but today you decided to. Tell us about the hat.
I don't know, man. I just saw it online. I like the color, and I ordered it, and that's the story of the hat. But
little flat cap going on. Looks good.
Little flatty. I will be in Manchester this upcoming weekend. So hopefully, maybe I'll see some.
Jealous.
Yeah, aren't you and Luke both going to be there? Is Luke joining you as well? Is that
I believe he's got a ticket, so I think both of us will be going. So
yeah, you're going to try to connect, and we'll see. We'll try to get some content out for the folks to have a watch. Addy, over to you, Paul. I know you kind of already said hello with your normal interruption scenario. How you doing, brother? You all right?
I'm great, man. Today is Democracy Day, as JP California will know. I'm sure the Canadian election is all over CNN and
everybody's
MSNBC.
Talking about it.
It's a good day to flex.
Saying
we have like a live murder mystery going on right now in America that's like finally getting solved. So it's a kind of an interesting time.
It is. I know that one actually too. Yeah. Oh yeah. I pay attention to it.
Sadly, they just found this is the female who is traveling across the country.
22 years old, right?
Yeah, she's 22 with her high school boyfriend, and she didn't come home, but he returned.
And
they just found her body
psychotic, clearly.
in North Dakota.
Yeah.
And they pretty much confirmed they believe this is her body. And now the kid's missing. He went hiking the next day because the cops went to the house. They weren't allowed to talk to the dude. The dude went hiking the next day and then now has not returned.
Oh God!
Probably gone and killed himself.
Yeah, legit. Actually.
All right,
we're off to a weird start of this show.
Time for some football content.
Are we a murder mystery show now? Should we be? I'm not mad at it.
The North End
don't mind it.
The North End is the new serial podcast. Yeah, good stuff. All right, well let's get into we got a lot to go through because we're going to review the weekend and then we're going to preview the weekend. So back to the old school format for this week, and arguably moving forward, we're going to continue with that as well, just from a time perspective. So, Connie.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover here. So yeah, I mean, we'll move at a solid pace, not too fast, So let's start with the Friday game with Newcastle hosting Leeds. Rafinha takes the lead to put Newcastle ahead, but the star boy for Newcastle, St. Maximin, ties it up just before halftime. Not too much to go on in the second half, but I would say probably a good result for Newcastle, fellas. What do you think?
Yeah, good result for Newcastle. Really fun game to watch. Surprisingly, I was like, wow, this is fun because it was just so open. And we all know that about Leeds, right? But for whatever reason, Newcastle were like that too. And St. Maximin was just unbelievable. He was the best player on the pitch by far. Really fun watch. I don't know if you guys enjoyed it the same, if you got a chance to watch it, if you were working or not, but I happened to get to watch it, and I was like, crap, that was good.
If he keeps performing like this, does he move in the summer? Like, there's 100%. No chance Newcastle can hold on to him, right?
Why is he at Newcastle? Is that would be my first question to that. Answer that question is, or a question with a answer a question with a question. Like, shouldn't he already be at a bigger club? Isn't he good enough to be there in the first place?
I think it'll
Or does
happen
he have
in
issues?
time. He's improved, I think, steadily, and I think he's on the radar now. Like I think
Maybe,
he was kind of inconsistent, almost like Traore a little bit, but I don't think he's there after this season. He offers a lot moving forward.
If I'm not mistaken, before he moved to Newcastle, he was a little bit on the radar of Arsenal. But now as I watch him play, I'm like, he would be perfect for Arsenal. You know, they'll still finish about 12th, and it'll be great. It'll be a big step up for him.
As we continue through the season, let's talk about price tags and stuff like that. But let's move on to Burnley hosting Arsenal. Martin Odegaard, the Norwegian, another win for Arsenal. Are these guys turning it back around, fellas, or no?
They didn't look good in the game.
No.
I mean, I'd probably say no. Again, it's kind of like Spurs a little bit, right? Like the Spurs win the first 3 games 1-0, but we were kind of crap in 2 out of 3 of those games. And I think they were kind of crap in the last. Arsenal have won 2 in a row, but have been kind of crap in those 2 games as well. So, we'll see. I mean, not a massive result, but a win's a win.
No, a win is a win. And you know what was a win? Liverpool hosting Crystal Palace, where they smashed them 3-0. Mane on the score sheet, Salah on the score sheet, guys. This is the Liverpool we know from a couple of seasons ago. They're injury free for the most part, and they are buzzing. They look good right now.
Yeah, Paul, you got anything you want to add, mate? Been quiet.
Yeah, they seem to be hitting it. It's when they're the most dangerous, when Salah and Mane are like fighting for goals.
Oh yeah,
you can almost feel like when those two are in a bit of a race between each other, because they score lots of goals, but they also don't necessarily pass when they should. And it's like it's kind of a perfect problem to have. Like it's a bad indication, but it's actually a good indication for the score sheet that when they get to that place. I thought they looked really good. I thought Crystal Palace, put up a brave fight. I think one of those goals was the third goal specifically was a bit of that was like a worldie that's going to happen occasionally, but I thought they put a
wonderful
good fight.
goal,
There was a
rocket.
What a
good effort by Crystal Palace is my point, but like it's a difficult task to beat Liverpool, especially at home. But they are off to the races right now. They seem really strong, and this is probably the most impressive thing for me is that they did this with their backup left back and right back. Neither one of Robinson or Trent were available for this game, and they still looked completely like they were hitting the gears, and both those guys are so important to the way they play. But their bench did a really good job of just filling in that absence, and that's been what has been missing in the past. Like if you don't have Trent Alexander-Arnold in the past, that would have been an issue. Robinson in the past, that would have been an issue, and that seems like it might be the thing that can get them back into this race this season.
The midfield looks good too. They just look like they're buzzing right now. Like they look really confident. They look sharp. I'd be worried about them right now if I was any other top 6 or top 7 club.
Are we jumping the gun here? Because I mean, they did just play Crystal Palace and they couldn't beat a 10-man Chelsea for 45 minutes. So they did well and they looked good.
Chelsea were great in that game.
Chelsea were incredible defensively.
Chelsea were really
good. They were so good, and they even created stuff going forward. But my thing is, a title-winning Liverpool team would have beaten Chelsea.
I disagree with you.
Too early in the season. Too early in the season.
Disagree with you. You could argue easily that Chelsea looked like they had the best defense in the league right now, and they put on a performance in that game. Like I think that Chelsea's defense, when they got the red card, were the standout of that game. Because you got to remember, JP, Liverpool threw the kitchen sink at them. They did a great job to penetrate, but they couldn't. Like that Chelsea defensive performance in the second half was just incredible. So I don't think it's a knock on Liverpool. Like I think it's more of a tip your cat to Chelsea in that particular game. But you're right, it's early.
I mean, they're top of the table. Like I don't think anybody's saying give them the title. I don't think we're pumping their tires so hard that it's too early for that. But I think what we could say is they're looking good.
They're playing well.
I think to me, I just think Liverpool look really good, but they're going to be battling for 3rd or 4th, maybe 5th.
No.
I don't think they're battling for top 2.
Battling for top 3.
I think it's going to be Chelsea, City in the end.
And maybe so, but I think it's between those 3. But we'll see. Speaking of Man City,
Liverpool better than City at the moment. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree. They're hosting Southampton, and you want to talk about throwing the kitchen sink at a team.
Yeah,
Man City literally did everything but score a goal that was valid. Like holy shit! Credit to Southampton for getting a point out of this because it was one-way traffic Bryce, it's just one of those games where just like City didn't get the bounce or the luck because they were all over them.
They were, but we can talk about the possible penalty / red card shout that for Kyle Walker that we were briefly discussing before we hopped on the stream, and I do think that Man City threw everything at them, but they're missing that key component, that Sergio Aguero, or arguably you could say Harry Kane, who didn't go there, who's not been great this season so far, but might have slotted right in there and it finished a lot of the chances that they're getting. It's obvious, like it's almost blatantly obvious that they're missing a proper striker. Gabriel Jesus in the first half had a header chance where he jumped up, and I feel like a good striker who has a good head on him would have put that in the top corner, and he just kind of he got himself in a great position, got high, hit the ball, and then just skied it over the bar. And I was like, a good like a Lewandowski or a Harry Kane put that in the net, and I think they're missing that and it's quite obvious right now. And I think you're going to see a lot of games from City this season now that unless they do something in January for the rest of the season, it's not going to be every game because they have enough quality that the players will get goals against certain teams. But when they need to break a team down that is playing really well defensively, they need something a little bit extra, and they didn't have that in this game.
JP, you agree with that or no?
I don't, because this is the exact same way they started last year. They were like what, 6th, 7th by like October or even end of October last year, and they went on a run. They're like a top team, and that is they get stride right after Christmas and they sail through the end of the season.
Well, they did that once. They did that once, though, JP. They did it once.
They did it by committee, Brian, with no striker.
Last year,
they do this every
in the hardest league in the world. They got goals from
everywhere. They've had Aguero every other season.
When was the last time they got below top 2?
Yeah, you could argue. You could argue both.
Team's been around a long time with the same manager and the same players, and they didn't add to the squad the way they needed to, like Chelsea did. And I just think that they're going to struggle because of it. And it's teams are going to get used to playing it. It's like a second season sort of scenario that if they're going to play this false nine, teams are going to get used to it and they're going to defend it really well, which is what Southampton did in this game.
We'll have to see. I think they were a little bit unlucky, but man, I think
we have to be clear on like what we mean by struggle, though. Like.
Struggle four-man City. Struggle four-man City.
Yeah.
Like, that's not winning a title.
It's not a real
still second place. Still second place. Just not winning the league.
Yeah.
I
would point out again.
They'll drop enough points.
I just think that this Man City squad, Foden was on the bench, KDB was on the bench. They haven't even like hit their stride yet. I've always said they need a striker, but then I said that last year when they didn't actually need a striker. Goal scoring was never really an issue for that team. I don't know that it all of a sudden becomes an issue the way they're starting the season when they haven't really even like sheathed all their weapons. Like they're still like really casually rolling things out because they seem like they're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, maybe that could be wrong.
So I don't know. I worry less about the occasional 0-0 against like a team like Southampton because that's the Premier League. That's going to happen, right? I more look at how are they going to play against Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United. Like that's where I think we're going to really find out if they're suffering for a lack of a striker or not. And it's still too early days on that. We said this before. Like you'll never know until the season kind of goes, but it does feel like they are missing a trick by not signing a striker. It was a bit flat from the point of the spear, and they've been pretty reliant on a midfield player playing the 9 all season.
Yeah, I mean, I think was it Bernardo Silva who was playing in the false 9 in so this game? I saw him
in this game, yeah,
a couple of big plays where there was build-up play and he just didn't quite get to the ball. His positioning wasn't there, and he went to slide in, and the ball went across. And those are goals that certain like strikers who have like the right brain on them would have gotten to because they would have made the right decisions.
And I've heard the argument.
I'm not saying that'll last. It's what I watched, and I was kind of like, ooh, I think maybe Kane would have scored that. Just longer legs, bigger presence, stronger body in the 6-yard box.
I have heard the argument that Torres, like his runs are very striker-like. Like his instinct is that he's basically a striker, and that it's not as makeshift having him play the 9 as people maybe think, because he really is pretty much the mindset of what you want as a striker. They didn't play him this game. It seems like that maybe went wrong for them. Great effort by Southampton. This is a dig deep, huge point for them, which I love seeing. But I'm going to mention it because I thought it's hilarious. I revel in this kind of stuff. I think it's so funny. Pep Guardiola having a go at the Manchester City fans, just wishing that they would come out and support the club a little bit more.
Well,
it's turning into a bit of a battle of the words.
It looks like Connie's a new supporter with that hat. I mean, that is just Man City blue all over it.
It's turquoise, man.
Turquoise. It's not blue. It's not blue.
No, but have you guys seen all the memes about Pep and
they're
asking
great.
fans?
So
Dude,
good.
you're a successful manager. Don't poke fun at your fans. Although in
He wasn't
fairness-
really
What
poking
he
fun
does.
though. It's what he was attempting to try to like say something genuine, but because of maybe it's because of his accent or just the way he says it, it's so easy to meme. It's just like oh, we could take the piss out of this, no problem, and then it's boom, everybody goes off on it.
But he's
And
right
he's
though,
right.
right?
Oh,
I was gonna
totally
say,
right. That's what I mean. He's completely right. He's not. He's not wrong.
You're the champions of England. You made it to the Champions League final,
Yeah.
and you can't sell out friggin' home games. Like
But they've never been able to. It's city.
Yeah.
It's a working class club in the blue side of Manchester that they didn't have fans before they built the Etihad. It was what the stadium was before. It was 25,000, 30,000 people. So yeah. Anyway,
the empty head. And
roll
you know
it
what? It'll stay empty. Norwich hosting Watford. Watford with a 3-1 victory. I don't really care, and I'll tell you why. I think these two are going to finish 20th and 19th. Don't know that this game matters at all. Don't mean to be glib, but do you guys have any other thoughts on this one?
nope.
Exactly.
Yeah, Sarr needs to go. He's too good. That guy
He
is
is
fast,
good.
he's
Okay, I
quality.
take it back. I like him a lot, actually. He's a nice little player. Paul,
If
what do you
he-
got for this one? Pookie? You
Well,
like
I don't want to understate it. Like, we don't know where these guys will finish towards the end of the season. This is a huge
19th
3
to
points for
20th.
one of these teams. Let's at least give that credit to Watford. This is a huge 3 points for them. If they're going to have any chance of staying out of the relegation, beating Norwich is how you do it.
Norwich are crap. Let's
You
just
know what?
go with
I'll
that.
take it back. They've got 2 wins now, and they're in 11th. So maybe that was a bit of a slap against Watford, but I don't know. I don't think they're good. But
It's a
Norwich,
little too hard,
terrible.
that slap. A little too
It
hard.
was. Norwich are just the absolute
Backhanded. A little
worst, though.
backhanded, Connie.
Yeah.
It was a
Norwich
little-
are done.
Open hand next time, pal. Try
You
that.
know another game I know someone might be excited about. Aston Villa hosting Everton. Aston Villa 3, Neverton 0. You know who
What
didn't see
a
this one
performance.
coming? Me.
What a
JP.
performance.
Walk us through it.
I think we continued where we left off against Chelsea. Really, it looked like we played very similar setup, only subbing one guy. They came out, played very high press, which is what we did against Chelsea. It worked very well in the first half, and we all kind of agreed that the 3-0 slapping by Chelsea was not the real reflection of the score. And Villa did really well. We got a sweet new set piece coach in, and we've now scored essentially 4 or 5 goals from set pieces so far this season. And it looks like we're doing a little bit of the Brentford way that way, and scored directly off a corner. And then just 2 really good plays. Danny Ings with an amazing switch for the new boy, Leon Bailey. And man, does that guy have rockets for legs.
Talk to me about Leon Bailey. What were your initial thoughts on him?
I believed he was going to be good when we got him. I was very stoked, but he's worrying me a little bit with his injuries. He came in against Chelsea and he does some nutmegs and he does some runs and some skills and he looks great, but no end product. The other day was just quality though. I mean, he got in, his free kick delivery was dead on, his runs were fire, and he just smashed the ball into the upper net just on a pure breakaway from almost half field and just outruns whoever the Everton right back was and just flew past him. And it was a spectacular goal. If he can stay fit, I'm going to be really pleased. But he's starting to look like that guy he's so quick. He hurts himself. I mean, he says he injured himself by shooting the ball too hard.
Leon,
So
figure it out.
that's what
This
he
is the
said.
Premier League, man. You got to stay fit. Great result, though. Great result. And then we move over to Sunday.
Is Brian awake in London right now? Go to
That is-
bed.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's what they do.
My
The
goodness.
English are always up late on YouTube. It's pretty funny. What's up, Brian? Thanks for watching, pal. Good to
Yeah,
see
man.
you there.
That's awesome.
Buddy.
Boys, we move
Man,
into
that
Sunday.
guy's face. Let's talk about Brian for a second. If everybody hasn't had a chance to see the video of Brian entering in the new stadium in Tottenham, that's a happy boy right there. That's worth a watch, because you can just see the joy and shock in his face as he realizes
check
that
it
he
out.
still supports
What
Spurs.
podcast is that?
It's Tottenham on tour. It's on our. You can check it out.
that's nice.
Check us out on Twitter, and it's up on the Twitter.
I imagine he was smiling before kickoff, but we'll get to that in a bit. We move to the Sunday games.
Throws in the bird.
Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Leicester 1. Paul, your boy Danny Welbeck on the score sheet.
Danny Welbeck.
Brighton sitting 4th right now, and that's 3 points over a good Leicester. Guys, how serious are we taking Brighton right now?
Starting to score goals, which is good to see. I don't know about taking them seriously per se, but the football they're playing is great. You gotta love that manager that Spurs should have picked up that nobody thought was a good idea. Type of football they're playing. So I'm a Graham Potter fan. I would have taken him over Nuno. I like Nuno and what he did at Wolves. I think Graham Potter's more of a Spurs type of manager when it comes to the type of football he plays. And you can see it. They're very creative. They're very organized, and they look good. It was a good performance from Brighton.
The team's not that different either, though.
They're
just popping up goals.
I will go on the other side of that and say that I thought Leicester were very hard done by the officiating this game.
I can't argue with that. That's fair.
Yeah.
Like,
what was it, 2 offsides goals?
Indeed.
The first goal I want to address is that there was a penalty shot awarded to Brighton. It was a situation where the ball was in the box. I think it was Duffy got in the end of a ball, and while Vestergaard, I believe, was the defender, was up in the air, one of the Brighton players pulled him down by his arm. And while he's getting pulled down to the ground, his other arm is being forced up in the air because that's just how gravity in the human body works.
Yeah, that one.
They go to VAR and see that it hits his arm. Yeah, it hit his arm, but it only hit his arm because a guy was forcefully pulling him down to the ground, which you can see on VAR. So I don't know why this is awarded because it's clearly not worth it. It's on screen. You can see what's happening. It was kind of a joke. And then there was just 2 probably correct calls that were just really unfortunate towards the end of the game where Leicester had 2 goals from set pieces, both headers called back because a Leicester player was offside and was in theory obstructing the keeper. If that guy wasn't there at all, just disappeared in a puff of smoke, both goals would have gone in. The keeper's never going to get either one of those balls. That's just unlucky. It's not really about the officiating, but I thought the penalty awarded to Brighton for this game was terrible. Like I think Brendan Rodgers was pretty vocal about it after the fact, and I think he had every right to be vocal on this one.
So I'll add something in there. I agree with Paul to the extent that it should have been called back strictly because of a foul. But where his arm is extended because he's pulled down, if it hits his arm and he's not pulled, I'm giving the penalty. But the VAR should have just said, this is a goddamn foul. Just call it as a foul against the defender and give the other team a free kick. But where it hits his arm with his arm extended, if he's not touching him, it is a penalty.
But my point, I guess, would be splitting hairs. His arm isn't going to be up there unless he's being pulled down.
Exactly.
Like, that's the only reason why it's there. So it is a foul, or it's an arm that's there because of an asterisk of why it's there. It's because of a foul. It's just really bad officiating in that one. Like, common sense needs to win out on that, and that seems to be 100%. The bridge with VAR. It's still not a common sense tool all the time. It's getting better, I think, but it's still like these ones are head scratchers.
And I would say this is maybe the first weekend of the season where I wasn't impressed with VAR in a couple of situations. But again, a good result for Brighton. We move on to the other game, and man, was there drama on this one. Manchester United 2, West Ham 1. Paul, walk us through what happened.
Pretty standard fare for Man United. Man United go down a goal, and they come back to win. What else is there to report?
A lot more to report. So first and foremost, they go down. It's a really bad deflection off Varane. They tie it up through who else? Cristiano. Great ball in from Bruno. Strikers run. I mean, he makes contact. Goalie makes a save. He taps it in. But this is what he's all about. I mean, everyone thinks about Ronaldo back in the day from the wing. He's turned into just a poacher number 9. But West Ham were playing well. I don't think United were great. Some very bold subs. Greenwood and Pogba off for Lingard and Sancho. And Lingard, we saw what he did in the Champions League last week. Steps up with an incredible goal. 93rd minute, ball into the box, off Luke Shaw's arm. I think it is a penalty. David De Gea hasn't saved a penalty in the Premier League since 2014. Mark Noble comes on. I was in elation. I'm like, we won, Lingard. And now I'm certain it's a draw. Noble steps up. What happens? De Gea saves a penalty for the first time in 7 years. You know what? They get away with a victory. I was happy, but it's more of that United where they're just sneaking through with these victories. Paul, I don't know if you felt differently.
I thought they for a big chunk of the game, outplayed West Ham. I thought the result was probably pretty correct. I thought there was a few outstanding saves made by Fabianski to keep the West Ham in the game. I thought by the end of the game, it got closer because of that. Jesse was awesome. Like, it's such an emotional goal because he was so beaten down and pandered to after that shitty mistake in the Champions League. To come back in this game against his lone club at West Ham and score a goal was awesome. To have, you know, an exciting ending like that where we get this brilliant save. I think United got a little bit lucky, only in that I don't understand the logic of bringing somebody cold into the game and giving them the pen. That just felt like a error. Why even make that risk? Like, Declan Rice is on the pitch. Declan Rice is your kind of go-to star player right now. I've seen him take pens. He knows what he's doing. I don't know what he's like in training, but I know he knows what he's doing. That just feels like the better opportunity. And I've heard since then that the captain, Noble, was on the bench calling for it, asking to become Don. And like,
really?
He's the captain. So maybe like David Moyes kind of says, okay, well, you know, got to respect the captain. So you put him on. But it wasn't a well-taken pen. It was a brilliant save. It was not a well-taken pen. Those are not mutually exclusive things. Yeah. It was a great and exciting ending. And that's kind of been the new norm for this Man United team, which is great. Exciting football.
Hold on. And I do want to go back because I forgot, and I'm not going to talk about it too much, but Wolves lost 2-0 to Brentford. I apologize to all the Wolves and Brentford fans out there. Ivan Toney with a penalty, and then they scored another one in the 34th minute. Not a great result for Wolves. Brentford 2-0. But let's keep on the United. You want to talk about VAR? Ronaldo was taken down 3 separate times in this game. 2 of them were at least stonewall penalties. Like, you couldn't debate it. And I thought it was embarrassing for Martin Atkinson. Like the guy sticks it. He beats the guy. He does the guy twice. The guy impedes him, sticks out his leg, and no penalty. And then the Luke Shaw one, I would have given the penalty. Some people say you wouldn't. His arm was extended. It hits his arm. It's a friggin' penalty. But the refereeing, like, Ronaldo has that ability. Those are 2 penalties that United were robbed of in that game. So the result was just for me. It
almost felt like reputation preceded him. Like, let's be clear. Like, yeah, I thought those were penalties, but I also thought Ronaldo knew exactly what he was doing. And it was very obvious he knew exactly what he was doing. And maybe the referees like reacting to that element of it.
Potentially.
And not the fact that it's still a penalty. Which is like, I mean, maybe Ronaldo just needs to tone it down. He's not in Italy anymore. Like, these referees are not going to like the attempt to trick them.
Yeah, they're also not letting those things stand this season for anybody. Like, we've seen it with all players who kind of in the box have that tendency to make it like, hey, I'm going to get this penalty. Even if there's a foul, they're going to make it look worse than it is. And refs, when they see that, aren't giving it, and that's just been across the board. So I think we can move on from that, but I think that's likely the reason. I'm not saying it's good. I agree with you, there are probably penalties, but I think that's probably the reasoning.
That's a fair show.
Like every game, there's been one call that could have been a PK.
Some fouls, like it, whether it's in the box or not, it's been across the board, which I actually prefer. And I think even if they get it wrong in this case, it's hopefully going to make some of these players who do it excessively to not do it anymore, so that it's not removed from the game completely, because it's hard to get rid of completely, but to make it a lot less obvious and a lot less happen a lot less, so that we just get to enjoy physical football.
Yep. Moving on to I guess you would call it the biggie of the weekend, is Tottenham hosting Chelsea. Chelsea 3, Spurs 0.
Can we avoid this?
No, halftime 0-0. I would say, maybe arguably Chelsea were the better team, but for me, honestly,
Spurs played a really good first half. I thought it was like pretty even in the first half, but I do think that that was probably more because Chelsea didn't play as well as or as good as they can against the Spurs side that did play better than we have been for a while. So it made us look better, but their depth and the players they brought on in the second half, bringing Conte on in the second half.
Conte on second half literally changed the game dramatically. Yep. Talk about your Ronaldos, talk about your Harry Kanes. This guy's the best player in the league for me. He does everything.
Let's talk about Harry Kane and how absolute crap he's been since this season has started.
His head's not there.
It's I've been trying to convince myself that maybe it's going to take a bit of time, but some of the body language in this game, when it was required for your leaders to step up and get everybody going again, just when Chelsea scores a goal, he was sauntering around the pitch most of the time. It was embarrassing, and I was just like, get him off. I actually want to see Mauricio Pochettino subbed off Lionel Messi in a game at the weekend, and I want to see Nuno do that to Kane. I want to see
that
take
did
him
not
off.
Go down well.
Didn't go down well.
Bitch, Messi is. I'm gonna say it. Messi's a little bitch.
He really is a little bitch.
But let's say that was not my point of the conversation. But I agree. I think he is, and I think it was ridiculous reaction. But let's do that. Let's do it. Kane should not take off Kane. Put Son up the middle. We won our first 3 games without the fucker. If his head's not right, don't play him until his head's right. Bottom line.
You heard Roy Keane talk about him as well. Everyone's digging into him now, Bryce. But hold on a second. I do want to pause. We will get back to the game, but I do think this is important because it's a talking point. Like, what needs to happen with this guy? So, like, the next game, but hold on a second. Is this something that you address in training this week if you're Nuno? Like, where do you go forward with Kane? He's a Spurs player for the rest of the season, at least until January. What do you do here?
You got to try to get the best out of him. You got to get him fit, because you could see not just him, but him and a few of the other players. And of course, we've had some really weird injury issues. The 3 art players who went to Brazil and Argentina, though them not being available, 2 of them came back into this game and they weren't fit. The second half was a team that wasn't fit. You could see it. It was obvious. So what do? You try to get them fucking fit, and you work with them all together, and you try to make a plan of how we're going to play football. That just currently for me doesn't exist, and it's a difficult watch. The second half, the first half, I was like, yes, this is great from Spurs. And I like the lineup. I thought the lineup was good. Ndombele played, Lo Celso played, although fitness was a clear issue for him. But yeah, difficult game. Chelsea are going to win the league. They're the best team in the league at the moment, and I don't see another team that's going to surpass their quality in depth. It's insane, the players they can bring on and whenever they want. And you saw we brought in Brian Hill, and who else came on? I can't remember.
Hold on a second, though. That guy stood out for me. I thought he was very industrious.
His work rate
Brian
is there.
Hill,
His work rate here
got some skill too.
Yeah, I know he does.
I
know he does. He's not the same as bringing on Conte.
No, you're right. It's a caliber.
It's levels, right? It's like, you brought on a player that's going to maybe offer something, but yeah, not remotely close to what you'd need against a team that is the European champions.
But in fairness, Brian, I think Chelsea, when they brought on Conte, could have done that to a lot of Premier League teams. They look very good.
That's exactly my point. European champions, best team in the league at the moment. Just
my favorite part of the game is when Timo Werner was on, and he kind of hubbed like this beautiful play that was like 3 or 4 passes, and it was Lukaku to Werner. It was Werner 1-on-1 with a keeper, and all you heard after he missed was the commentator going, "That was a beautiful set of plays until Werner," and that was it. The commentator just ended the thought with that.
It was really quite funny, wasn't it?
Just like a straight, like, oh, okay, we're just being openly mean with him now. Okay, cool. That's fun.
How many more chances does he get? Because that one miss was that Lukaku ball was beautiful. All he has to do is take one decent touch and slot it in the corner, and he fucks it up again. Like, this guy, I hope he's seen a sports psychologist, because it's getting odd. Gosh. It's getting uncomfortable now.
He's got the yips, He's got the yips. Just a quick comment from Brian here before we move on, guys. Also, for Kane to put in that type of performance on the day of passing of Jimmy Greaves is disgusting. And this should have been the day in honor of Jimmy Greaves, where he turned up and he was appalling. I completely agree. And Jimmy Greaves, obviously, one of Spurs' biggest legends and one of the biggest legends of football in Europe. Just a difficult thing to see from a player who's supposed to be our current legend, like we had with Greasy, and he just showed up, but didn't show up. He just didn't look interested. So
did anybody else notice that Lukaku's first touch is actually really good now?
Oh yeah, it's completely different than it used to be.
Like, he looks better in a Chelsea. He looks really good in a Chelsea jersey.
Good.
I still question his mobility a little bit in the Premier League, but I still think he's going to win the Golden Boot. He's made to measure for that team. He probably could have had 2 or 3 that day. They didn't even necessarily need him. I'm with Brian. They look
really good.
But do you think when they face a big opponent, they are up to stuff? Segue.
As we go into next week's game week.
It's preview time, folks. Preview time.
First game, Chelsea hosting Manchester City. Brian, from everything you've just said right now, I think you might be taking Chelsea in this game.
I am. I'm taking Chelsea in this game, and I actually think it's comfortable for them to some extent. I think they have enough on a counter attack They do. They have enough on the counterattack. They have enough to defend a false nine with Conte in front of their defenders, and they have the wing backs to fly up the either side of the pitch. I mean, when I say comfortable, I mean it's going to be a really tight, a really close game, but they're going to be the better side, and it's going to be obvious.
JP, is he right, or is this revenge for Pep and that City squad after that Champions
They've
League
done
final?
it to Man City 3 times in a row, by the way. That's what that's going by. 3 times in a row.
A comfortable 2-1. It'll be like a late consolation goal to City. Chelsea's going to win. Lukaku's going to just boss. I bet you. I just think I'm just think Chelsea look like an absolute machine, even
Chelsea
when
are better.
Lukaku's not on.
Yep.
Everybody else is, and they look good. They looked well drilled, like
They really
defensively.
do.
and
You know what they did?
offensively, well
They're
coached.
so well coached. Tuchel, when he at halftime against Spurs, just to quickly go back to that, and then to add to what he does in almost every game, he went into halftime, and I'm sure the conversation he had with his players was like the most poignant, understandable conversation to say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go out and this is what's going to happen. And they came out and they slaughtered us, and it was obvious. And
So
that's
you don't think he just went in and said, "Lads, it's Tottenham"?
maybe he did, but I doubt it. I mean, I think he has a better way with words than Sir Alex.
Here's my question.
Despite you having to chuck that in there.
Here's my
for good
question.
luck.
Bar the money spent, because this never really comes into play when we talk about top managers. Is Tuchel a top 5 manager in the world right now?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Absolutely.
He's the reigning Champions League manager,
Yeah.
and he took that Chelsea team that Frank Lampard had that was just dissipating and turned them into the Champions League. Yeah, he's top 3 manager in the world right now, I would say.
Yep.
Yes,
I'd agree.
but during a weird moment in time where there are a lot of clubs that should be very good that
And
are
it's early
just
in the season.
weirdly
Yeah,
not.
I don't know.
Barcelona are not Barcelona anymore. Real Madrid are not. Like, there are some major clubs that would usually be like very difficult to beat, would always be in the mix, would have a top manager, would have huge squads full of talent that they just don't exist the same way they have in the past.
He
Who's
did
dropped
have
farther,
a
Barca
hold on.
or
He did have a
Arsenal?
great club, like a great squad at PSG, and he couldn't seem to really get them over the line with the Champions League. But who knows what he's learned since then? But I mean, I think
He's got them playing.
He's
got
the
them humming.
talk of the town when it comes to managers in the world right
And
now.
German managers at the moment too. There's just something about what they're getting out of their teams generally.
I can't wait to watch this.
Not
game.
that you're asking, but I'm gonna tell you, I think City have a chance here. I think it's all too early days to be like, oh, Chelsea are gonna whoop City. I think City
Well,
haven't
That's nice. We
really.
didn't ask.
Well, I was going to ask you. And
City at their peak last season lost to Chelsea 3 times in a row. The same
fine.
Chelsea team. So
I think
So
it might be one of those
history
games
repeats
where,
itself all the time.
Exactly. I think it might be one of those games where
In a
we're
row.
all sitting here saying Chelsea are going to win. Where I think, in a weird way, City
be
are going to
wrong.
get something out of this. I
annoying,
really do.
annoying
A 1-1
that there's
would
games
be
at
a game.
7:30. Like fucking hell.
Ooh,
I
man, a
know.
1-1 or a 2-2.
I'd like to be watching.
Because I will remind everybody, I don't know that Mendy will be available for Chelsea. I think it's going to be back to Kepa.
Who did well?
Did
well.
well, but you got to know
Spurs created
they
zero
do
chances.
not look good at the back when he plays there. Like, it was Spurs had a bad game, but if
Good
he's the
shout.
one like leading the back
Yeah.
as a keeper against Man City, Chelsea are no longer the same Chelsea with Mendy's at the back. Like, that's a big loss if he's not going to be available.
especially against City. So if Paul
Especially
is
against
correct, if Mendy's not available for that game, I think things change, because we've seen it. I don't care if it's Chelsea. City will create. City created in the Champions League final. They couldn't do anything with it. So this game's going to be scintillating to watch for me.
Quality of the creation will be key.
My only issue,
And I
with
really
watching
hope Pep
this-
fucking puts out a team. Like, actually, just put out
Yeah.
your team now. Put out your
Your
team.
best
You've
team.
had
Okay.
Go put it out.
Is Pep like overthinking everything? I feel
Yes.
like he's like that guy. He
Yes.
gets really close to the top. He does so well all the time, and then it's just like, let me just crash my brain.
He does
and
that
be
in
done
every
hard into a wall.
big game, other than
Everything's good. Let me
other
piss
than the
off my
League Cup.
fans.
Other than the League Cup, which he wins every year.
Yeah.
He does that in every big game, every big Champions League game. He does the same thing. It's
Yeah.
silly. All right, let's move on, fellas.
Yep. I'd love to watch the Chelsea City game. Too bad I'm going to be in attendance at this next one. Manchester United hosting
Villa.
some small team I've barely heard of, Aston Villa. JP, California. How do you feel going into this one as a Villa?
I feel good. You know, we never
Why?
get shit at United. We never get shit at United.
It's
So
such a good
it's
performance
okay.
the weekend
VAR
against
will
Everton.
definitely give one of those handballs up. Like, that's what I expect is VAR to make one of those handball calls. You guys will win 1-0 or 2-1. It'll be a shit game. But if there's ever a time to really kind of go into this game in the last 2 or 3 years, this would be it, because we switched up formations. We're playing this sweet new 3-5-2. It's working. We're playing well. We're pressing well. And I feel like Maguire has a mistake in him. Like, he almost got caught this last weekend with a huge mistake, kind of like Tyrone Mings for us. I know Paul really I feel like Paul. I feel like Luke always hates on Tyrone Mings, but to me, he's like our own Harry Maguire. He has a mistake in him. Maguire has a mistake in him. You know what? Let's swing for the fences. If we get something finally at United, great. If not, oh well, move on.
Can I maybe just burst your bubble a little? Because your back three is looking really sharp. I love it. It's a smart transition. You're getting the most. Yeah, you're getting the most out of a lone player named like Axel won't play against us. I don't know that you got the personnel to go three at the back without him.
Right. No Axel in this game.
Hold on. What is Cristiano's best physical attribute now?
Everything.
His hair.
His face, his smile,
his jumping,
his eyes. You've asked the wrong people, JP. There's a love on going on. Love it going on.
While he runs. Sorry.
You think he's best in the air?
Have you never seen his vertical?
His head. He jumps higher than almost any player in Europe.
No, I know he's good in the air. He's good
incredible
at a lot
in the
things.
But we have a great other backup center back, Courtney House, who is just amazing in the air, defending cross balls. I think he slips in. I don't think we change formation. I think we go three at the back again. And I'm okay with that switch.
Are you worried about our golden boy CR7 up front or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
You have to be. You have to be.
I think if Villa could get something going in the midfield, like the whole McFred thing, I watched them again this weekend. Like, they give away possession too easily. It seems to be the theme.
Did you just say McFred?
Yeah, McTominay and Fred seem to be like the preferred starting midfielder choice. And like even Fred did it again. He gave the ball away. 2 separate times he gave the ball away, just in an errant pass, which is what he does. And West Ham went down the field and almost scored 2 separate times. So I think if Villa can get a foothold in the midfield, they can create. Do you know if Buendia is back this game?
Buendia was back last game, but he didn't play. They didn't get him in. But here's the thing. McGinn went out injured on concussion protocol. He had a shiner, a big old shiner.
Yeah. That's something that can go away pretty quick, though, those types of injuries.
It could, but if it's a concussion protocol and he actually had a concussion,
he might have to sit out.
That could be up to a month.
And he's been quite good, JP. Yeah. He's been a good player. I've been watching him, and I'm like, man, he's doing a lot for you guys in that midfield.
I hated on him last year. I thought he was overweight. I thought he was slow.
He looks fit.
Was crap, but he looks way better this year. He looks way turned around. He's not getting the goals he usually likes, but he looks way fitter. He looks way quicker.
Just stronger, faster. Yeah, for sure. Decision making is better.
I cannot deal with anything else in a United win, but we'll see. It should be good. Everton are hosting Norwich.
You don't want to ask me about it?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were giving your opinion.
United a lot here, guys.
Yeah, I know. Okay, give me your 2 cents.
I don't even want to talk about Man United as a team. I want to talk about the Man United store and the laundry list of shit I'm going to give you to buy while you are at Old Trafford.
Keeping space in my luggage.
Also,
actually,
while we're having an actual discussion, how fucking pumped are you to actually be going to Old Trafford to live the dream that we all wish we could be living and watching these two clubs in person live? Tell me a little bit what's going on with your head right now. What's your headspace?
I'm not excited. I'm one of those people where I wish
you were the worst fan ever.
I wish I was more of a positive person, but I won't be excited till I'm in the stadium, in my seat, and I want to.
Villa, Connie jinx it.
I just want to be there and make sure.
So great.
But once I get there, oh yeah. But I'll be providing a lot of content. I believe Luke's going to be at the game as well, so we'll be sharing a lot. But yeah, I mean, there's a huge part of me excited. I just wish it was like now. But again, put in your Megastore order. I got you.
Nice.
Norwich are at Everton. Gentlemen, do we see Norwich getting anything out of this? Well,
no.
Everton need to bounce back.
No. A beat down. That's what I see.
Don't even need to talk about it. Norwich are crap.
Well,
Stack up on their fantasy players.
What about this next one? Because I think this one could be incredible. Leeds hosting West Ham, and when I say incredible,
Just be a fun game to watch.
that's it. It's going to be open because it's
Be good
Leeds.
football. Yeah.
And West Ham have some. I can't wait to watch this. I see West Ham just nicking it though. Anybody else? West Ham are a quality team.
I feel like their defense and their midfield will hold off Leeds and
Maybe at Ellen Road though.
It's second season syndrome for Leeds.
I agree with the second season syndrome. I was the one who said that when we first started this season, and I agree. But they started the last game, and I know it was Newcastle, but they started to look a little bit more like the Leeds we know. So I think it's going to be a cracker though. Either way,
should be good.
West Ham won the series last season, scoring 2 goals in each of the games, and Leeds only managed to score 1 goal against West Ham.
Did Lingard score any of those goals?
Jesse Lingard scored in the 2-0, the second leg. Win for West Ham. I think if I saw anything from the West Ham lineup, they can play you on a counter while also not fully committing to like lying back, which is I think going to cause a little bit of a problem with Leeds. Because if you go toe to toe with Leeds and just open up the entire pitch, you're playing into Bielsa ball. But if you can like sit back a little bit and not just like not play full back of 9 defenders, but play a little bit defensive and try to catch them on the counter, that's like the uppercut. Like that's just like that's how you knock them out. And I think West Ham are just too good. I saw a lot of counter speed from that team against United, so I think they're just gonna punch above their weight and probably beat up on Leeds a bit. And I don't even think Rafinha's gonna be available for this game, so I think it's gonna be a tough go for Leeds.
Rafinha's big miss for sure.
He's a nice little player.
He's been one of their best players this season.
Yep. Having said that, Paul, Leicester are hosting Burnley. Is this where Leicester just take out all the frustration from this past weekend and give Burnley a beating, or can Burnley have been pretty good? Just gonna say,
Nobody can just beat up Burnley. Nobody can just beat up Burnley.
Burnley, man, the team with that just keeps on going. You know, like despite everybody thinking they're going to go out this season, they've looked better than they did last season.
Guys, they're in second last place with like a draw and 4 losses. Like, what are you?
I know, but Leicester
about?
aren't playing good football at the moment.
They looked very good against Man City, and they looked very good this past weekend. I actually would argue that Leicester look fantastic.
I don't know, man. I'm
telling you, man, they look.
Maybe
really
I haven't watched enough. They've lost. They've only won 2 and lost 3. So like that the record doesn't show that. And
that's fair, but I think they look good. Vardy looks. I'm telling you, I'm putting
one touch. That one touch goal that Vardy scored was ridiculous.
It was on a plate though. Like if
it
he
was,
missed
but
that,
no, but it was
finish it.
It wasn't him finishing it. It was the 5 touches, 1 touches before it got to him.
It was
beautiful. That's what I mean.
Nice.
That's what I'm saying.
The build-up was incredible. Play at that pace.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
And you're right. JP's right. That's the key. Leicester move quick. Burnley can't cope with that. They're good when the game is slowed down. They're going to smash them. Watford hosting Newcastle. Who knows? Who knows?
No idea. We don't even spend time on it. Just like
I guess we'll see.
That game has the makings of an exciting game. Watford seem like they're like they play a very open.
It'll be like the Leeds Newcastle game, I think, like we saw on Friday.
It could be like you'll see. St. Maximum is well poised to have a good game against a Watford, and it's not like the Watford bank of fast, quick attacking is going to be facing that much of a challenge against Newcastle. So it's got the makings of a probably pretty sloppy, below par control, tactical, technical side of the Premier League. But that probably is the recipe for a more entertaining game for everybody who's a neutral. So I think this is going to be a game that I could see being high scoring, to be honest.
I think you might be right. We'll see. Brentford are hosting Liverpool. I think my question is just how many goals are Liverpool going to score? 4? 3? How many are Brentford going to score? None. 3-0.
It'll be like a 2-0 game.
3-0.
No, it's a tough one. I think you're going to get.
Brentford's in 9th.
Yeah, but the position the team is in for 4 games of the season does not tell a story.
The gap between those two.
Liverpool are going to smash.
I don't think it's going to be. Liverpool would smash Newcastle because Newcastle are crap. Brentford are actually decent.
I don't know about that, Paul. Where do you stand on this?
I think it's weird. Brentford, I'm still trying to get my head around what kind of team they are and what drives them. They seem to be very reliant on Tony having a good game. Where his game goes, their results go. That's fine. He actually looks like the kind of player that could cause even a Liverpool a lot of trouble. But I just think this is going to be one of those games where this is bread and butter for Liverpool at this point. Like even without Thiago, who I think will be out for this game, they're just so dangerous with all the players that they can bring on the field to start the game and off the on the bench. Brentford are going to have to hang on for dear life. I just think they had that upset. They beat Arsenal. That was good enough for the fans. This is more about entertaining a great Liverpool team and trying to put on a show, but I don't expect them to be doing much more than trying to not lose by too much of a margin.
We'll see.
I'm not saying they're going to be amazing. I don't think they're going to win, but I think you guys are treating them like they're relegation or bottom four. Like I think they're going to be like 12th place.
They're newly promoted.
What are
JP.
you
It's
talking
a bold
about,
statement.
Leeds lost the plot.
Did what last year?
Yeah, but that's one team who did well. Like you can't just apply that to every team because they started well.
Well,
that's not true.
I mean, if you look at the actual information behind Brentford's performances today, like their expected goals against, which is just an indication of something, is actually really impressive. They've got like the 4th or 5th best expected goals against in the league. And they've been playing some decent teams. They don't make it easy for their opponents, but you can make it not easy for Liverpool and still lose 2-0. They're just that kind of team where they can have 2 moments of geniusness, like break it. And right now, there's no indication to say they're geniuses on the field. Mane and Salah are not clicking. And by the way, Jota's been pretty quiet. He's probably due for something just statistically. The amount of starts he's had recently, if he starts again, he's probably due with his goal scoring record being what it is. So I just see this being probably a 2-0.
Dude, here's why. Here's why they're going to slap them. Brentford, and I like what you're saying, JP. They run a lot, and they try to open up a lot of space. They're run and gun. When any team tries to play that game against Liverpool, that's when they slap them 3 and 4-0, because that's where the quality. Brentford aren't going to sit back and play slow, like moving ball in the midfield. Let's hold the ball. They move a lot. They run, which I do like about them when they're playing most teams. You do that against Liverpool, they're going to destroy you, and that's their style of play. They're going to get smacked, but we'll see. We'll see. Southampton hosting Wolves on the Sunday. Wolves, God, I don't know. I mean, Southampton, is it a toss-up? Like Southampton coming off a great point against City. Real bad loss for Wolves. I don't know. It's early in the season. Paul, I know you've got an affinity for Wolves. Do they get it back on track here? Or I don't know.
This manager's having a really hard time
struggling to get goals, right?
Getting the performances, which have been decent, to translate into goals. This whole shoot on sight technique or philosophy, I think that's great if you've got the guys who can put it on net like routinely, but their percentage of on net is really low, so it doesn't seem to be like a tactic that really makes a lot of sense. And they're struggling because of that. And Southampton on the other side have been like one of the gutsier performing teams of the season so far. Like I don't really know how they're doing it, but their high press, high energy is a little bit more like what Wolves were under Nuno than what Wolves currently are under this new manager. So for me, I need to see some pretty significant changes in Wolves for me to start feeling pretty good about their chances. I like Southampton's energy. I like their work rate, and I think they go into this game as a favorite for me. And that could be a draw. Like even if it was a draw, I think that's a good point earned for Southampton. But I don't know. For me, it feels like a game that they probably can win.
JP, you wanted to add something, mate?
I mean, I think they could win, but when I look at the form table, I'm pretty let down by both teams. Wolves have 1 win out of the 5. Southampton have 0. They got 4 ties. This thing screams a tie, maybe a 1-1, maybe even a 0-0. I don't think it's going to be that much of an entertaining game. I just don't think both teams really know exactly how they want to play perfectly yet. I feel like both teams are still kind of struggling with what happened over the summer for both teams, and they just don't really know their identity or their style of play quite yet. And I just don't think it's there.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, it's just spot on, JP, for sure.
And then, gentlemen, the North London Derby. Arsenal hosting Tottenham. And I'll tell you, if you would have told me week 5 going into this game, after everything I knew and saw in week 1, week 2, and 3, if you would have told me going into this game that Arsenal were the favorite, I would have told you your face, you're just a complete idiot. Arsenal are the favorites going into this game, guys. We got to start with our resident Spurs guy, Brian. Brian, it's the Derby. What are you thinking going into this, man?
Well, let's just clarify why Arsenal are the favorite. It is at the Emirates. So Sorry,
Don't you always beat them at the Emirates?
No, come on, man. We struggled
Was that
there.
last season? Did you get them last season?
I think we beat them like
they lost 2-1.
We've won like once in five tries there or something like that, and we don't do well there. It's not. There's the expectation of winning there is very, very low. So that's why we're not the favorites, and it makes sense to me. They've just won 2 in a row. We've just lost 2 in a row. We've lost like to Chelsea, like, which is pretty deflating to the squad. So I'm not confident going into this game. I mean, I think I hate saying this, against an Arsenal side who I don't think are very good. I think getting a draw is a good result for Spurs. Getting through that game. Of course, we got to play Wolves midweek at Wolves in the League Cup. Man. I know it's the League Cup, but it is another game. It's in its momentum. So if you lose to Chelsea, you lose to Wolves, you get knocked out of a cup, and then you got to play your rival in North London away from home, and you lose those 3 games in a row. It's a bit of a fucking crisis. And I know that may sound dramatic, but I think it is a little bit of a crisis at that point. So we'll see what happens midweek, and we'll see how we come out and play against an Arsenal side who I don't think are very good. But I also don't think we're very good. I think we played, our defense has been the best part of our season so far, but then we've had the issues with some of the players not being available. If we can start the defense that we want to see start, and Tanguy plays well, and maybe Harry Kane gets his head out of his ass, then and Sonny shows a bit of form and starts to perform as well. Well, we may have something, but we're not creating. Our creativity is so shit. It's so shit to the point where watching it is just like really difficult. Like the amount of chances created or the amount of touches in the opposition box is ridiculously low. It's 19th, 18th in the league at the moment when it comes to those statistics, and those are statistics that matter a lot when it comes to getting a result, and we just don't have them. So I'm nervous. I'm not. I hate the North London derby anyway. It's always a nerve-wracking game to go into, especially away from home. At home, I feel way more comfortable about it. Going to the Emirates, though, it's just like fuck me. So yeah, I'm not comfortable, and I don't expect the result.
It's not a great time to be facing these guys. They are circling the wagons and doing what we said they needed to do on the bounce from a very bad start to the season against a run of fixtures and injuries that were not helping them. But last 2 games when they've had what you could start considering as being their ideal defensive lineup out there on the field, they've had 2 clean sheets in a row. They look very steady. They're not as offensive, but I think there's probably more of a focus on just being a tough to beat down team.
This could be a 0-0 draw, arguably, right? Like it could 2 teams that have like trying to get their defenses to function, and those are the best parts of the squad so far. I could see like nothing of coming from this game, like the most boring North London derby we've seen in a long time.
It could be.
I hope for that. To be honest,
the only thing that comes to mind is like a subplot or a narrative to this is that certain players like to play against certain teams, and you can kind of you can predict that. And we're not there yet, but Martin Odegaard had a man of the match performance against Spurs last time out, and he has had now a couple of games to play at Arsenal. He's increasingly looking better and better. So is he going to decide that playing his heart out and his lungs out and his ability out against Spurs is when he shines? Because a lot of these like London guys, that's when they do it, right?
Harry Kane's the prime example of that. I mean, he scored the most goals in any North London derby of any player in history. He surpassed Thierry Henry of that record. So maybe this is Harry Kane's coming out party too.
Like at least you don't need to worry about Aubameyang being the guy, because we know Aubameyang doesn't like light up when it comes to the big games.
No, so, it's not like
the
that.
only guy I would look at as being maybe the danger man is a little bit Martin Odegaard and maybe a Saka who like grew up knowing how much of a he understands what it means.
Understands what it means. Yeah. And I think Harry Kane is like that too. And I'm probably wishful thinking here, and that's sort of what happens when you support a club. How bad he's been is that maybe he's just going to get himself ready for it and be like, you know what, I'm here for this team. I've been this is the rivalry. I'm going to show up and I'm going to play proper, and I'm going to score some goals, and maybe we'll have a bit of a turnaround from what we've seen so far. But I'm not confident that that's going to happen. I'm really not. I honestly think we're going to struggle.
JP, talk to me here. Is this the game? What if Harry Kane gets a goal, gets a couple goals, gets the winner? Does he win the Spurs fans back? Is this game tailor-made for him, JP?
It could be. It could be. I put a lot of hesitation on that.
Just saying it could be. I don't know.
I feel like fans are pretty fickle. I feel like a lot of Tottenham fans are starting to kind of turn a little bit on Kane. This, I mean, to me, when I look at this, it's like, who's the best player between these two teams? It's Harry Kane. Who's the second best player between these two teams? It's Son. Is Son playing? Is he good?
Yeah, he played last weekend against Chelsea. He wasn't very good, but he played.
One of those guys turn up, and I think Tottenham have a fighting chance. I think it's not even a small fighting chance. I think it's a huge fighting chance. But with how these, I mean, I talked to my Arsenal fans. I've watched a little bit of their highlights. I've seen 1 or 2 games. They look so lower league right now. They look like a lower half team. And I mean, I know Tottenham's pretty devoid of confidence, but I feel like this is a great game for them to return. If Tottenham can get a response here, they can make a good push for the next 5 or 6 games.
I think that's a good shout, JP. I agree with you. Just because of this fixture and how we typically do in it, that's the part where I'm kind of like, I've said so many times, if we can just get a result, at Arsenal, then things could go well, and we never ever do. Like, it's so rare that we get a result at Arsenal, and they always play the best games of their lives when they play Spurs at home. It just, even if they're crap. Every season they've been struggling, and as soon as they come up against us at their ground, they perform. And Spurs always just look shell shocked and don't look like they're ready for it. And I'm just like, and when we're not playing well right now, and we're not we've had spots. Obviously this opening game against City was good, but that was an opening game for everybody who wasn't ready to play football yet. We haven't really played well yet this season. We haven't seen it. We've seen moments like glimpses, but nothing where it's like, this looks good. So I'm nervous.
We'll see. Fear if Kane gives a similar performance to the second half against Chelsea, how bad is he going to hear from the Tottenham fans?
I think he should get yanked if that happens. Pull him.
Oh man, we will see. I can't wait to watch it. And then, gents, the final game of the game week is 14th place Crystal Palace hosting 4th place Brighton. Do Brighton just keep on rolling here, or can Crystal Palace put up a fight?
I'd say this. I think this is similar to the Newcastle Leeds game or the Newcastle Watford game. This is another potential to be a lot of fun to watch. I think 2 teams that have a lot going for them. Crystal Palace smashed Spurs 3-0. Yeah, Spurs went down a man, but they looked good. And Vieira, who I slagged from at the beginning of the season, thinking he wasn't going to be good enough, he's gotten them playing good football. Compared to what we had seen from Palace in previous years, they look on the front foot. There's a system there in place that is attacking. I think this should be an entertaining game. I think it'll be. I think it'll be fun to watch
this one too. But Brighton have been great to watch.
I suspect this will be fairly straightforward for Brighton, if I'm honest.
Really, I don't agree.
Yeah, they just 60% possession on average. Like they will dominate, and then they've so dangerous in the box. Duffy's constantly a threat. I don't like the Crystal Palace defense. I don't like they seem weak
Anderson,
on set plays.
That's your boy, man. You don't love Anderson?
I think they're all right.
He's a player that can play the ball out from the back, but doesn't really help if you don't have the ball. And I just think they're catching Brighton at the time where Brighton are like full force, full power. Whether they can score is still the question mark at Brighton, but I still think this is probably edging towards a 1-0 for Brighton.
It'll be tight for sure. I agree. It'll be tight.
It's one of those interesting ones where you want to see what's going to happen between 2 somewhat evenly matched teams. But gentlemen, that is the upcoming game week.
Excellent. That was the North End Podcast Classic Edition, which will be ongoing from this point on until other things happen. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. JP, thank you for being here and filling in really well for Luke, who is in the homeland and isn't able to be here with us at the same times as usual. And getting ready, Connie, too, for the game you're going to the weekend. Connie, thank you for doing what you're doing. Looking forward. When do you head out? What's your
Wednesday night?
Wednesday night, cool.
I need Paul
check
to
out our
send me
YouTube
over.
for videos.
Yeah, we'll be posting a lot. Luke and I will both be, but I'm waiting for Paul's laundry list from the Megastore at United.
It's a long list.
For sure. And a mask, of course. Yeah, everybody's got to have the mask.
To begin with.
Yeah. Paulie, obviously, thank you for being here as well. Pleasure, and looking forward to next week. And thank you for watching, people. Please like and subscribe. And cheers. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.
Bye.